honorable ministers with responsibility for culture, Dr. Norbert Richard Ibrahim, the Assistant Secretary General of the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States, Mr. Frederick Ethel, Deputy Head of Mission, the Delegation of the European Union to Jamaica, Belize, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos Islands, and the Cayman Islands, Dr. Sadia Sanchez Vegas, the Director and the representative of UNESCO Culture Cluster Office in the Caribbean, Ms. Debbie Emandi, the Project Officer in the research, the Office of Research of the UWI, representatives of the European Union, the OACP, the UNESCO, the UWI, my colleagues from the CARICOM Secretariat, other partners, directors of culture of CARICOM member states, artists, cultural professionals, and creative entrepreneurs, representatives of the media, ladies and gentlemen. It is a pleasure and a privilege for me to represent the Secretary General of the Caribbean Community, Her Excellency Dr. Carla Barnett, who has sent warm greetings and best wishes for a successful launch of the project Creative Caribbean, an ecosystem of play for growth and development, as well as for the impactful implementation of the program. Dr. Barnett is currently attending to other critical matters of the community overseas and has asked me to stand in to deliver these remarks on her behalf. I begin my address to you this morning by commending UNESCO, the UWI, CARICOM, and other partners for the strong partnership which has led to the development of this vital initiative, and to express on behalf of our region my gratitude to the European Union and the Organization of African, Caribbean, and Pacific States for the financial and technical support that has made this 11th EDF allocation of Euro 3 million to the Caribbean under the Towards a Viable Cultural Industry, supporting the cultural and creative sectors in the ACP countries program a reality. Master of Ceremonies, I'm grateful for this opportunity to reflect with you on the importance and value of the culture and creative sector of our region, and on the ways in which it is expected that this project will make a difference to the creative economy and creative ecosystems of our region. As the architects of the project conceptualized and articulated, Creative Caribbean brings together important elements of the cultural ecosystem to build on the deeply rooted Caribbean creative ecosystem of play. This cultural pattern of play has produced carnivals and festivals which have been reproduced in over 70 diasporic spaces worldwide. Play is the thread that connects the dynamic musical inventiveness of reggae and dancehall, calypso and soca, punta, bouillon, compa, salsa, and dennery segment, and the list goes on. Play is also inscribed in the steel pan, the only acoustic musical instrument to be invented in the 20th century. Play is pervasive in the literary work of the many internationally celebrated writers of the region, including 2 Nobel laureates for literature, and through our publishers who have enriched the global literary canon. Play, ladies and gentlemen, is the richness of our performing arts in dance, theater, storytelling, just to name a few. Through this pervasive ecosystem of play, the Caribbean continues to be culturally expressive, prolific, and defiant, while seeking to overcome its vulnerabilities and challenges. The ecosystem that this project seeks to develop, like the system in natural sciences from which the term has been derived, is a dynamic, interconnected network of the key components of a strong creative economy, namely innovative, industry actors, audiences or consumers, supported by an enabling environment of policy, legislation, incentives, business support services, financial and intellectual property management. A strong ecosystem will enable a more resilient creative sector that is better able to withstand shocks such as that which has been experienced during the COVID-19 pandemic, and will enable the creative sector to have a sustained positive impact on the lives of artists and entrepreneurs, as well as on economic growth and social resilience in the Caribbean region. Capacity building of festivals as catalysts for creative industry development is a strong feature of this project, and in many ways, a well-managed festival can be seen as a microcosm of how a thriving creative ecosystem can in fact function. Festivals mounted in our context in a wide variety of creative disciplines generate streams of direct income from sponsorship, tickets and merchandise sales, but also several secondary revenue streams through expenditure on airline tickets, hotel accommodation, car rentals, as well as hair, makeup, and fashion services for the patrons, catering, media and promotion, technical support for sound, stage, lights, and festival management, street vendors, and the list goes on. National festivals and the region's premier mega Caribbean Festival of Arts, the CARIFESTA, stand to benefit from capacity building activities to be implemented through this project. The marketplace component of CARIFESTA, which facilitates business interactions between Caribbean artists and international buyers and investors, festival and venue managers, is an area to be targeted for expansion when CARIFESTA returns to our regional calendar of events, hopefully very soon. Governments of the Caribbean community have increasingly been acknowledging the value and contribution of the cultural and creative industries to the growth and development of economies in the region. Creative industries represent leverage points for building globally competitive exports and driving the development of national innovation systems and employment. The 26th intersessional meeting of the heads of government held in the Bahamas in February 2015 acknowledged the vital role of the cultural and creative industries and declared its intention to take steps to strengthen the enabling environment to support the sector's further development. This led to the launch of the Creative and Cultural Industries Innovation Fund by the Caribbean Development Bank, the CDB, in December 2018, which was established with a start-up capital of US $2.6 million. Towards the development of a comprehensive policy framework to guide the continued development of the sector, priority actions in draft regional development strategy for the cultural industries were adopted by Ministries of Culture at COSOD 22 on Culture and Youth in Guyana in February 2012. Presented to them by the Regional Task Force for Cultural Industries, comprising public officials and industry experts. Ministers of Trade identified culture and entertainment services as a priority sector, leading to the development of a regional strategic plan for cultural and entertainment services in December 2017. What Creative Caribbean will do is provide resources to action several elements of these strategies, with a focus on direct support to artists and cultural entrepreneurs, while establishing a creative content hub, expanding the UNESCO concept of creative cities, developing and model legislation for creative industry development acts to be introduced in member states of CARICOM, and improving data collection on this sector. However, ladies and gentlemen, as someone who has a strong roots in the youth movement in the region, permit me to say a few words on the importance of the nexus between culture and youth in the Caribbean. The report of the CARICOM Commission on Youth Development, Eye on the Future, Investing in Youth Now for Tomorrow's Community, acknowledged and I quote, "Youth are the backbone of the creative industries in CARICOM, both as consumers and producers, and represent over 60% of the region's population," unquote. The Cultural Times report published in 2015 by UNESCO, CISAC, and Ernst & Young reported that global creative economy employed nearly 29.5 million people and generated in excess of $2.25 trillion in revenue, or 3% of the world's GDP in 2013. However, significantly, it is reported that the creative industries employ more persons aged between 15 and 29 than any other sector in which young people are engaged. As such, the development and advancement of the creative industry, development and its contribution to wealth creation and employment must be treated as a central pillar to national development and should form a critical part of any strategy to address youth employment and inclusion in the Caribbean. Furthermore, we need to address a development strategy that leverages our demographic dividend in youth and our comparative advantage in culture and sports as a game changer in national and regional development initiatives. I would also add that for CARIFESTA to continue to thrive and remain relevant to the people of the Caribbean region, youth involvement in the festival must be scaled up and mainstreamed. Greater attention to the specific needs and interests of our young people to encourage them to attend and participate in CARIFESTA is vital. The outstanding performances and expressions of young artists, their creative energy and commitment to the ideals of the festival is the foundation upon which CARIFESTA is built and will continue. By putting more programs in place to nurture the creative talents of our young people at the national and regional levels and propel their success in the global arena, CARIFESTA is poised to make an even stronger impact on the region and its people. In keeping with global trends, the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the culture and tourism sectors in the Caribbean has been devastating. Since March 2020, the region has experienced widespread cancellation of national festivals and carnivals, stage shows, and other mass events designated to uplift and portray our Caribbean identities have come to a halt. Having a high concentration of self-employed creatives and cultural entrepreneurs with small, medium-sized enterprises, the sector in the region has been severely impacted upon by the pandemic. Icons of our creative expressions have gone to the great beyond, and I pause to pay homage to Dexter Black Stewart, a masterful genius of soca music art form, who recently passed away in his home country, Trinidad. Blacks would have been one of the region's leaders and advocates for better conditions and support for arts and culture in the Caribbean. And we must use this occasion today to bring to the fore the issues he recently advocated for. The UNESCO Global Study titled Cultural and Creative Industries in the Face of COVID-19 in June 2021 reported some 10 million job losses in the sector in 2020 and revenue losses of 20 to 40% across a range of countries, with the biggest fallout in economic contribution to the creative industries observed in urban centers rather, where these industries are heavily concentrated. I am aware that many of you who are participating in this launch today participated in the regional dialogue on culture in a COVID-19 environment convened virtually by the CARICOM Secretariat in May 2020. The dialogue, which was attended by participants from 19 countries and partner agencies in the region, highlighted that the COVID-19 pandemic exacerbated the many inequalities that already exist, that the CARICOM member states and associate members don't have the structures, policies, and resources to effectively cushion this and other major disasters for the creative sector through emergency relief grants, unemployment payments, and the like. That professional associations in the region are also not equipped and sufficiently strong to provide relief and support, and that there has been insufficient government and private sector investment in and incentives for the sector over a protracted period of time. And this needs to be addressed urgently if we are to build a more resilient creative sector. I will, however, acknowledge that at least 8 governments did provide stimulus for relief packages, either specifically for the sector or a more general package from which artists benefited, and that there were initiatives by the Caribbean Development Bank and Caribbean Exports to provide some assistance to artists and cultural entrepreneurs facing challenges during this period. It is evident, ladies and gentlemen, that as we look to the future, within CARICOM, culture serves as both enabler and driver of sustainable development by providing unique historical and contemporary contexts, cultural value, and assets that facilitate sustainable, inclusive development outcomes. The foundation of the CARICOM construct is located in the common historical and cultural heritage of the region, in our shared traditions and aspirations. Culture helps to promote respect for diversity, spirit of community, national and regional identity, and social inclusion. It is also critical for ensuring that young people appreciate the value and contribution of the Caribbean civilization to the world. Our culture must forever be a bridge both to our past and into our future. Our culture is what makes us truly Caribbean. Cultural expressions born out of people's experiences have in a profound way allowed the voices of the marginalized to be heard, development processes in the region, and have provided a pathway for many to international success. Globally recognized and celebrated voices like those of Bob Marley and Peter Tosh have reverberated in every corner of the world, calling for social justice, equality, and human rights. As a region, we are at a critical juncture, a crossroads, where we have the opportunity to chart a new course forward as we emerge from a debilitating pandemic. Creative Caribbean is providing critical resources at the right time to invest in the individual and collective advancements of creatives in the region. I look forward to the implementation of the project and pledge the continued support and commitment of the Caribbean Community Secretariat. We are at your disposal and pledge to work with all partners and stakeholders to ensure our collective success. I leave you with the words of 2 Caribbean icons, the Right Excellent Marcus Mosiah Garvey, Pan-Africanist and National Hero of Jamaica. There is a world of opportunities awaiting us, and it is for us, through unity of will and purpose, to say we shall and we will play our part upon the great human stage of activity. We shall cause men to regard us as equals in achievements in industry, commerce, politics, science, art, and education. We shall create the mighty region and cause our children to call us blessed. And in the Calypso legend, Black Stallion said to us, West Indian unity is very easy. If we only rap to our people and tell them, there is one race from the same place that make the same trip on the same ship. So we see much push, one common intention for a better life in the region, for the woman and with children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man. The Caribbean man, the Caribbean man. I thank you. Thank you.
When I West Indian unity, I know it's very easy. If you want me rock for your people, I'll tell them like me, them is one race. Caribbean man from the same place. Caribbean man that make the same trip. Caribbean man on the same ship. Caribbean man. So we must push one common intention. If we're a better life in the region, for the woman and we children. That must be the ambition of the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man, the Caribbean man.
Thank you very much.